But first, we're going to get back to the NFL. And Rob Parker is so proud of himself because yesterday when everyone was celebrating Tom Brady, he was the lone voice in America that was ripping him. We're not surprised if he's writing or talking. He's ripping. And Rob, you had a tweet that you are so happy about.
I don't know about all that.
We're going to have Rob G read it, and then we'll discuss.
Yeah, the numbers of yesterday's show were so big. Rob double dipped this morning.
Of course.
With this fire of a tweet. Here it is. If a full scope is ever exposed or reported about the cheating that went on to help the Patriots win so many Super Bowls, when you really think about it, Tom Brady could wind up being Lance Armstrong without the bicycle.
Man.
Without the bicycle.
Like that?
When's that coming, Rob? Because you've been telling me that for about 7 years.
Right. It is coming. It's just a matter of time.
You got inside information
no,
that's coming?
I don't have inside information, but I hope before I leave this earth.
It comes,
can I have that before I leave this earth? That's all I want. But anyway.
But let me ask you this, because we discussed it yesterday. You don't think Brady should be in the Hall of Fame. I admit he cheated with the Deflategate, Spygate. I don't know if he knew. We don't know if he knew or not, but I put that more on Belichick. Brady certainly benefited, though, as all the players did.
Yep.
But, if you don't know, Rob, I'm not going to hold that against him. If you going about your business and somebody else is doing something and it benefits you, it's not on you. But the question was, because what you really were saying is if Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens can't be in the, Pro Baseball Hall of Fame or the Baseball Hall of Fame, and, Alex Rodriguez and several others, then why should Tom Brady be in the NFL Hall of Fame? Now, my contention is his transgression is nowhere near using performance-enhancing drugs, but that's neither here nor there. What I want to get into today with you is there is a huge discrepancy in cheating, if you will, in the NFL versus baseball or track and field or
anything.
Cycling.
Yes, no doubt.
I mean, I don't even think basketball. It's not to the point of football where if you use PEDs or steroids, it's a slap on the wrist and nobody. You do your 4 games, your 6 games suspension. Like what's his name? The receiver for Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
Rob, he missed the first 6 games of the season this year for using PEDs. No one cares. It's not going to hinder his legacy and anything like that as far as we can tell. But in baseball, track and field, and cycling, it's a death sentence. So we want to talk about why in some sports is cheating, it's more accepted or it's just not as big of a deal than in other sports.
Yeah, Chris, that is it's a very weird dichotomy because you brought up Hopkins. Patrick Peterson is another player. Josh Gordon. Here's names of NFL players. Brian Cushing, he as well.
Julius Peppers.
Bill Romanowski. I could just keep going with these names and people.
Antonio Gates. These are guys that were suspended for PED use.
Right. And I don't understand it. Is it because it's a gladiator sport or people just don't have the same regard for I don't know. The Baseball Hall of Fame has always been, out front, Chris, and it really meant because of numbers and stuff. And I don't know what it is, but I would be interested to hear why people can easily. And my biggest issue, Chris, is like when they talk about the other guys, it's always a part of the conversation. But
in
like
baseball, track and field,
like it's always like that's attached to him. If you mention Lance Armstrong, there's no way you're not going to mention that the Tour de France were stripped and all this other stuff, right? There's no way. But you can listen to, I don't know, 100.
We don't think about it with DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, do we honestly?
No.
We're like, okay, man, look, the Ravens need to go get DeAndre Hopkins, or this team needs to go get him.
But I've never.
We don't even think about it.
I've never, Chris, and never. And I listen to football and watch football. Never on a broadcast heard somebody go, yeah, Tom Brady or whatever their Patriots were able to do, they ran off those 6 Super Bowls. But of course, there's a cloud of suspicion because they got busted by the league for Spygate, and they had Deflategate, and they had these other issues. Never, like zero. And if I'm wrong, somebody tell me. I never heard, even when you talk about Bill Belichick, he's the greatest coach in NFL history or whatever, but not even like he was fined a half a, what was it, $500,000, Chris, right? The largest fine for any coach in the history of the NFL. And I think that I always say that the NFL did a disservice because, remember, they destroyed the tapes.
Well, that's
so that we
part
couldn't
of it.
see it. You know what I mean?
That's part of it. Look, like I said, to me, Deflategate is nothing compared to using performance-enhancing drugs and steroids and all that. But I think that the NFL, Rob, by destroying the, evidence, if you will, of Spygate, they, that's part of it. I mean, they clearly didn't want to see what the full extent of the cheating was. And if the league sets that tone, then I guess, I don't know if does the public follow or what. And in terms of the PEDs.
Well, let me say this, Chris. I want to piggyback on what you just
Go ahead.
mentioned. Okay. I don't mean to interrupt you. But when you said like the Spygate to you is not that big.
I said Deflategate.
Deflategate, I meant.
Spygate, Brady wasn't the one. I mean, again, he benefited from it, but I don't know that he had any. He's a second-year player, first-year starter that nobody thought was going to be any good. I doubt the coaching staff was letting him know, hey, they probably didn't think, who knew how long they thought he'd even be around New England. So I don't think.
Here's the issue I have with you with dismissing Deflategate. The problem I have is, when that thing went down, Tom Brady could have just stood up there and said, yeah, I asked him to take air out of the ball, whatever. And it was on me. I asked him to do it, and the ball boys, they went along with it, and I'm to blame. And he probably would have got fined and not suspended. You agree with that? Had he owned up right then and there. You agree with that?
Know.
Okay.
I don't know.
And here's the second part. Tom Brady refused to be involved in being transparent in the investigation. If it wasn't a big deal, why would he destroy his cell phone? Why did he not? That's why he got suspended, because he hampered the investigation and he wouldn't come clean with the league, Chris. That's what I don't understand. If it's not a big deal about letting air out of the ball, why did you destroy your cell phone rather than surrender it to the league?
Well,
help me answer that.
I think that's why it was suspended for 4 games for something that I don't think is a huge deal. We had, I can't remember who it was on yesterday that said, guys do all sorts of things to the ball to get a better feel for it or whatever. And again, we've seen him, now for years. And even right then after, they found the deflated balls, play with inflated balls, if you will, and be fine. So it obviously it did not change how good of a player Tom Brady was. That's why I say it's not a huge deal. Now, if you want to say, well, the fact that he didn't cooperate is a big deal, fine. But I mean, there's players I disagree with a lot of what players do, how they live their lives, their character, whatever. And I try not to really let that impact my view of them as an athlete. And so if you want to be mad at him because he didn't go along with the investigation, fine. But I still don't think you can even come close to equating taking a little extra air out of a football to using performance-enhancing drugs and, breaking. I mean, if we're going to talk Barry Bonds, breaking one of the most hallowed records in all of sports. 2 of them, the all-time home run list and the single-season home run list. And you gonna compare that to, what Tom Brady did by letting a little air out of the ball? Yeah. I mean, I just think it's the punishment. They're 2 completely different crimes, if you will.
If you were on a team that lost to the Patriots, like the Rams, who have been very vocal about it.
Well, that's Spygate again.
That's Spygate. But I'm just talking about being a part of an organization, and it does matter because Tom Brady's, Chris, you say like, well, he was a second-year player. He didn't know what was going on. If cheating was going on and that helped him win, that also boosted Tom Brady's where he stands in all the Super Bowls and why people are considering him. So that does affect
Well,
if
that's
you found
one
out.
Super
I'm
Bowl.
just saying.
So
I'm just
if
saying.
he got 6, does that change how we view him?
Well, I don't. You think the cheating happened one time?
I don't know. I mean,
okay,
I'm just going with the facts.
And
of what we know.
let me give you this. When you talk about taking the air out of the ball and whether it matters or not, that year, the Patriots led the league with the least amount of fumbles in football. It worked for them because it was the lowest fumble rate, Chris, in the decade of people not fumbling the football, and that's what the advantage
Did they
is.
play well without it?
No,
after that, I'm just saying you don't hold the Astros. We talked
what are
about
you
the
talking about?
Astros
I do hold
in
them.
baseball. No,
I
you
do.
because we talked
No,
about
you
the
talked
Astros,
about taking away
and
their
we
championship.
said
That's what
the
I'm
fact
against.
That
No.
we said the fact that they are playing so well and have played so well.
No.
Hold on, let me finish. We said the fact that they've played so well since the scandal has validated them.
No.
And you went along with it.
I did
Yes,
not.
you're
I
right,
told
Chris,
you,
it
Chris.
has.
I told you, Chris. I said it's not the same team. That's what my point was. It ain't the
Abreu
same
and a lot
guys.
of these players are still there.
Chris, there was only 2 or 3 players,
Rob,
including Justin
now
Verlander.
you're playing
I
fast
said it
and loose with the
yesterday.
history.
We could go get the tape.
No, I get
We
that.
can get
but
the tape. I said it. I said it's not the same exact team.
Of course,
and that's
it's not
what
the
helped
same
them.
exact team.
They only
It's
got
never
3
the same
guys.
exact team.
3 guys
Yeah,
from
but
that
there's
team.
3 stars.
No, Verlander
There's
was
3
a pitcher,
critical
Chris.
components.
He doesn't even hit. It was only 3 guys.
So Abreu is the face of that team.
You mean of Altuve?
Altuve, I'm sorry. Altuve, the face of that team.
Chris,
And you have said, just like me, yeah, the fact that they've played so well, it does kind of validate
no.
the fact
I
that they're a really good team.
I said that it helped them as far as trying to cover up what went on, and especially since it's not the same team. Like, that's a big
Let's stop it.
That's a big factor. And my point is, if it doesn't
There's one
matter
thing for baseball, one standard for football.
If it doesn't
You
matter,
just like the steroid people.
No,
one standard for baseball, one for football.
if it doesn't matter, the league wouldn't have a rule. If the air in the ball didn't matter, they wouldn't have a rule.
I said he cheated.
That's all I'm saying.
But you think that's as bad as using PEDs?
I think it's all
That's
cheating.
ridiculous.
It's all cheating.
So if a kid,
It's
if,
all
if a
cheating.
Man, if a man steals $5 from you, is he going to be punished at the same
He's
rate
a
as if he
thief.
steals $1 million?
He's a
Fine.
thief.
But
No,
is he going?
Is Tom Brady a cheater? Is he
Can
a cheater?
I finish? I said it yesterday.
All right then, and I'm saying if I took $5 or $1 million, I'm a thief. It doesn't matter how much.
Will the punishment be the same?
No, the punishment's
Okay,
not the same, but it doesn't
Thank
change
you.
whether or not Tom Brady cheated during his career.
Well, he did,
and I want
right.
to know
Everybody
why
knows that.
people don't hold him accountable when they hold Lance Armstrong.
Because Lance Armstrong used PEDs.
Do you know how many pitchers
Barry
were
Bonds
using?
used PEDs.
How many pitchers
Roger
were
Clemens
using?
used PEDs.
How many other pitchers?
Do you know the difference?
No, how many pitchers use
Golly.
PEDs? How many pitchers use
Your
PEDs?
baseball bias
It
is
ain't.
whack.
You
do not hold all that.
No, you
ripping
don't
and
make
stuff
any
is
sense.
Garbage.
You don't
when it
make
comes
sense.
to baseball, you're a softie.
No, as usual,
You're a softie.
it's deflect and change. That's
Hey,
not the
deflect,
conversation.
it's just clear.
The conversation is
we're
why
talking
don't people
baseball and
hold
football.
why
Why is
don't
it viewed
people hold
differently in
Tom
different
Brady
sports?
accountable?
No, it
That's
wasn't
the
about
point.
Brady.
It is.
The beginning of the conversation, I said we're going to talk about why different sports are held to a different standard when it comes to cheating. That was it. And you are just as bad as those that don't think cheating in football is as bad as cheating in baseball, because you're the opposite. You think cheating in baseball is not as bad as football. You got a double standard. It's just clear.
Chris, I don't know what you're double talking. You don't even know what you're saying.
No,
Give the tape.
877-99.
Alex, give him the tape because he didn't even know what he's talking about.
You think you judge baseball differently than you judge the other sports. You're harsher on the other sports than baseball, just like people are harsher on baseball than they are on football when it comes to cheating. So you're the same way. So don't get all high and mighty and self-righteous about cheating or a double standard when you do the same thing.